Can anyone hear me?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Joe,
Yes.
be ready because I don't know. This is locked out one time already, but other than that, it's been fine. So I don't know.
Yeah, well, ironic. I'm
So
having,
you may well have to take over. I have my phone turned on and Melissa's going to try and patch me in if she loses me. But be ready.
okay, well, ironically, I'm having a problem also.
What's your trouble?
I'm on my phone right now. I can't get in on my laptop.
Does Melissa know it?
No, it doesn't matter. I'm on my phone, so I'm good.
You want her to try and get you through to your laptop?
No, I'm working on it.
If you can join using the public link, I can promote you to a panelist.
No, I'm good right now.
All right,
Okay.
then we're going to try and start this at 7 o'clock. I call to order the December 13th, 2021 public meeting of the Whitehall Township Board of Commissioners. First will be a pledge of allegiance to the American flag, followed by a moment of thanks for members of the armed forces, especially those in harm's way. First responders, healthcare workers, food supply workers, our municipal staff and employees who are helping our community and country through these trying times. Let us begin with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible.
and justice for all.
for all.
Next will be the Hud Statement. Whitehall Township has an obligation to affirmatively further fair housing and to review all land use applications in accordance with federal civil rights statutes. This includes taking meaningful actions that overcome patterns of segregation and foster inclusive communities free from barriers that restrict access to opportunity based on protected characteristics. The township, in its land use decisions, does not discriminate against persons based on race, color, national origin, religion, sex, disability, or familial status, and reviews all land use applications in accordance with federal civil rights statutes. Public comments made on the basis of bias and stereotype concerning people within these protected classes will not be taken into consideration by the township in its deliberations. Before we move on to the minutes, just a few housekeeping statements. An executive session was held for legal and employee issues November the 23rd, 2021, using the Copley-Whitehall Sewer Authority meeting room. Attorney Gross was in attendance. And I will take this time to note the passing of Linda Lobb. Linda worked for Whitehall Township for 20 years. She started as a police service aide and eventually served as the operations secretary in the development office. She will be dearly missed by all. Whitehall is thankful to Linda for her service and years of caring for and about Whitehall. We wish her family our condolences. I would also take this time to note the passing of Scott Shenyo on October 26th. Scott served on Whitehall Township's Traffic Impact Advisory Committee. Whitehall is thankful to Scott for his service to the residents of the township. At this point, I yield the floor to Vice President Joe Marks for he has an announcement.
It's with a heavy heart. Thank you, Mr. Ginder. It's with a heavy heart that I announce that Chairman John Schreiner from the Copley-Whitehall Sewer Authority passed away on Saturday. John served the authority for decades, and for the last approximately 15 years as chairman. I want to acknowledge John's service to the people of Whitehall. John was tenacious in his duties. Copley-Whitehall Sewer Authority is has been acknowledged as one of the best run authorities in the state of Pennsylvania. God bless John. Godspeed, John.
Okay, moving on to approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion, Marks.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it, Warren.
Comments from the board?
I just have one typo that I'll share with the staff. That's it.
Any other comments from the board? Comments from the public?
There are no comments from the public.
There being none, Mr. Secretary, please poll the board.
Commissioner Marks,
Yes.
Commissioner Warren.
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher,
Aye.
Commissioner Attia,
Yes.
Commissioner D,
Aye.
Commissioner Sloniker, aye. President Ginder.
Yes,
Call the order passes 7 ayes, 0 nays.
next, the conditional use. That has been pulled by the developer. We will not be hearing that this evening. Again, the developer pulled that. Moving on under courtesy of the floor. Anybody wish to speak?
Yes, we have Gary Branza.
Okay, if you would start, and what was the name, please?
Gary, how do you pronounce your last name?
I'm not sure if I'm unmuted.
Yes.
You're unmuted.
Okay, you're unmuted again.
It's Brienza.
Okay, great.
Can you give your address, Mr. Brienza?
Yes, I'm an attorney. I'll give you my business address. It's 1 South Main Street, Nazareth, Pennsylvania, 18064.
Are you here for anything in front of us?
Yes, I'm here. Well, it's nothing specifically on your agenda, although I have had a few letters back and forth with both Attorney Gross and Attorney Gittinger, and I believe they may have submitted a memo to advise that I would be appearing this evening. My client, representative of my client, GFY Development, is also in the audience remotely, but I'm here on behalf of GFY Development. GFY owns 3629 East Columbia Street in Whitehall. It's at the corner of 145. And basically, I'm seeking a couple of minutes of the board's time to consider a request. GFY, first off, thank you for allowing us to speak this evening. GFY has owned the property for a couple of years, and I think many, if not all, of the board members are aware of the property and the location and the look of the property up until, let's say, the last year and a half or so. Essentially what happened was my client, GFY, was working to rehab the property. They purchased it from the estate. When it was purchased, the property was floor to ceiling, 3 or 4 floors worth of essentially junk. The outside of the property was overrun with trees and plants and overgrowth and just basically a mess. During the period of time that my client has owned it, they've cleaned up the property significantly. I think the board, as I said, is very aware of that. And not just the outside, obviously, but also the inside. Obviously, with COVID being a problem, that has interrupted the flow of the work. But basically, work has been ongoing for the last 2 years or so. About 2 years ago, the township officer, the zoning officer, the code enforcement officer, filed a number of violation notices against GFY, and those were heard by the magistrate, Magistrate Crawford, and he found in favor of the township and entered a variety of fines and penalties, mostly the fines being statutory. I believe a variety of them are $500, plus obviously whatever the cost associated with the township filing the violations. The total, because of the number of violations and the multiplicity of the filings, ended up being around $11,000. I believe it's just short of $11,000. My client has spent almost $400,000 rehabbing the property. It is listed, not just listed for sale, it is going to settlement in roughly a week. And the new owner has received permission from the township to operate a high-end spa. They got a zoning variance, I believe, about a month or so ago, and they're going to be operating a high-end spa. So not only is this property been rehabilitated, remodeled to a significant degree that is now making it a jewel, I would suggest, for Whitehall Township, but obviously with the new business coming in, that will certainly add to the tax base and also provide a good service to Whitehall Township residents. Essentially, what my client is seeking tonight is some consideration from the board. Obviously, the judgment, the lien, again, it's totaling almost $11,000. It's about 20 or so different violations. And to break it down, it's approximately 10 violations times 2. So realistically, the township did not have to spend any money other than the filing cost. I'm not going to obviously dispute that, but all of the issues that were raised as part of the violations were all addressed by my client through the past year and a half with the various construction and remodeling that was done. As a matter of fact, I believe all of the inspections have been done. I'm not sure if the CO was actually issued yet, but certainly if it hasn't been issued, it will be over the course of the next few days. And so essentially what I'm asking on behalf of GFY is if the board would consider reducing the amount and accepting something less than, again, the approximate $11,000 in order to clear the lien, in order to then obviously provide and pass clear title to the purchaser. I want to reiterate that my client is a good neighbor. It took longer to get the property done than anticipated for a variety of business reasons, both before and, of course, through COVID. And also that while the township had to expend money to file for the violations, the township did not pay anything to have any of the work done or to have any third party or other contractor come and perform the work to do the various repairs needed to address the violations. So other than those filing costs, I would ask that the board consider waiving the fines so that we could have our closing and pass clear title. And I thank the board for your time on behalf of GFY.
The first comment I have is obviously they haven't been too uncooperative or we wouldn't have this amount of filings and fines, but that's just my first thoughts on this. Attorney Gross, what kind of standing do we have here?
This is before you because Attorney Brienza did reach out. He had reached out to Mr. Gittinger and then to myself, making the same request in a similar way. He made it here tonight. Certainly, Mr. Gittinger has more familiarity with the property and the underlying facts than I do. But both of us advised him that we don't have any authority to waive judgments ourselves, and that if he and his client wanted to bring this forward, they should bring it forward to the board. You would certainly be the individuals and collectively as the board who have authority to do this if you're so inclined. And I would, beyond that, I see that Chris is on, or he was on. If you have other questions on the factual background, I'd prefer to let him answer.
Attorney Gittinger, are you on?
Yes, I am.
Can you enlighten us where your department is at with why this amount of fines?
These were code enforcement prosecutions. Back when I was the associate solicitor, before I took the new job, these were fines imposed by the district court for the property maintenance violations. I would only dispute that the township did in fact incur costs for these prosecutions, because back then the township was paying Gross McGinley, I believe, about $120 an hour to send an attorney for these prosecutions. So it isn't just that the filing fees were incurred. There were actual costs incurred. And I will say the property is almost completely in compliance. So the end game was a good result.
So these obviously go back quite a while if you were still not prosecuting, but if you were still the township's attorney on this, because you've been in the zoning office a couple of years now as zoning officer.
Yeah, these are all more than, these are all more than a year and a half old.
Yeah, they're back there.
Mr. Gettinger, I have a
Well-
question for you. It's Commissioner Marks.
Yeah,
Can you hear me, Mr. Gettinger?
Yes.
yeah. Oh,
You said almost compliant. What do you mean by that statement?
I think there's still a railing that's missing, if I'm remembering correctly. I don't know that the actual CO has been completed yet.
Okay. Can the attorney answer that question? Has your CO been given?
I don't believe the CO has been issued yet. And I will slightly dispute with Attorney Gettinger. I believe that the railing is in place. I don't think there's anything that has to be done, but I don't believe that the CO has in fact been issued. But I based on my understanding, I have no reason to believe that it won't be issued in time for the closing with the new purchaser next Monday.
I take it hasn't been issued because of the outstanding monies?
No, if I may, Mr. Marks, that's not it. The outstanding violations, which were from February of 2019, because the magistrate ruled in favor of the township, those were converted to a lien. So all I'm trying to do tonight for GFY is to basically have that lien amount reduced, because what's going to happen is at the closing, money will be set aside to pay the lien. And so I'm seeking to reduce the amount that has to be paid out of the closing to pay off the lien. But those violations have been addressed, so that's not what's holding up the CO. And the lien amount isn't holding up the CO either. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
No problem.
Attorney Gettinger, this is Commissioner Fisher. Can you let us know, or can you tell us what's the amount of all the costs that were incurred through the filing fees and the prosecution?
I cannot give you that number. I don't have that information available to me anymore. It would take some effort to go back over the billing records to see what was actually incurred.
Attorney Gross, would you have a better idea, or?
I don't have, no, I don't. And I think to Mr. Gittinger's point, we could certainly investigate it. I'm reluctant to spend more time that would be billed to the township to find out how much was due when we've got amount to be collected. I mean, I think there's, if you all are interested in settling this, I believe Mr. Gittinger could probably estimate how many hours were involved if you'd like, rather than us trying to find billing records that are now likely 3 years old and discern from that how much was related to this particular case. But certainly, if you'd like me to do it, I can. I'm reluctant to spend more money.
I'm just wondering, do we have a ballpark, or would that have to be investigated? Even the ballpark? Could we produce a ballpark tonight, or?
I was not involved in prosecuting is the wrong word, in litigating them. Again, Chris, 10 hours, and do you have any sense?
I recall being at the district court at least 3 times, and I would guess each of those times would have warranted 3 hours. So I would think that the township incurred attorney's fees upwards to $10,000.
That doesn't add up, Chris. 10 hours at 120.
Well, then it would be more than $1,000.
Well, I think it would be about $1,200.
Attorney Gross, for the board to deal with this, can they just basically not be interested in this, or somebody make a motion that there is an interest in redoing these numbers? What is the preferred way of, is it just a matter of asking the board, is there any interest in changing this amount at all, or leave these fees stand as the magistrate's office has enforced?
That would be appropriate if you want to ask the board if someone would like to make a motion to compromise the amount. And if someone makes the motion and seconds it, it's slightly out of order, but I believe it's appropriately heard here if someone would want to do that.
So there's two options here. Either make a motion to require that this be paid in full, all charges and everything from the magistrate and the township's fees, that all this total amount be paid in full is one motion, and the other motion would be to somehow come to some type of agreement on it. Is that a fair statement?
Well, I would say, based on what we heard from Mr. Brienza tonight, that the second option would be if someone would like to make a motion to suggest a specific amount. You know,
all right, so he's looking for that motion and that motion only.
Yeah.
Is anybody interested in making that motion or just leaving it the way it is?
Phil, can I ask a question before we do this? They spent $400,000 fixing the property. They owe us $11,000. Why would the next door neighbor be willing to pay the full amount, as would anybody? I'm just not sure why we should be resolving this issue with them getting a lower amount than they should be paying.
That about sums it up. All right, is anybody interested in making that motion?
This is Tom Sloniker. I'm just trying to figure out, I understand the expediency for next week, but where were they the year and a half before when these costs were accumulating? They didn't come in and start asking for relief then. It's, for me, it's just, you don't wait till the last minute and then put the onus on us that we should be the nice guy. I just don't see it.
Well, if I may, Mr. Sloniker, they weren't accruing. They were already imposed when the magistrate ruled in favor of the township, you know, again, roughly back in February or so of 2019. So once it was entered and the judgment became solid, if you will, after 30 days, nothing else was accruing. That number was locked in as of then. And if I may, we felt that we would work with the township, we would get the property done. Mr. Gittinger, I think, will attest that he and I have had various conversations over the last 6 months or more as we've been working through getting the property completed. And so there was no need for us to reach out to the township to ask for an accommodation until we got to this stage where we have the property completed and we're ready to sell. So it's a matter of just that it is the right time to do this now because it is the time to sell.
And I understand because of what you just said, but I'm trying to think back when these notices were given. They're not just, okay, here you go, you owe us money. You're given a chance to go ahead and fix the things. And obviously, at the time before that, you could have gotten into a discussion before it went to the magistrate, then you could have had, you know, maybe something worked out then.
Well,
again, and you know this, you're not just given, it's not like getting a speeding ticket where, okay, right there, you know, you're speeding and then you go to the magistrate. And no, this was done beforehand, and you had the ability to go into the magistrate, even with the thing saying, nope, we did this. And again, we see this stuff more than once a year. I'm confused.
Well, if I may, again, the only time that the notices or the violations are there is when the violations are filed. And once the things could not be fixed once the violations were done, once they were filed, and we've been working through doing the repairs. Obviously, some of these predate, or this does predate COVID, but of course, COVID slowed down everything for a year in terms of both getting materials as well as the laborers. So we had to finish all of the construction in order to rectify the various deficiencies that led to the violation notices. I would suggest that the township, and I don't think either Attorney Gittinger or Gross would have agreed that we could address asking for an accommodation when we hadn't made the repairs that led to the violations. So all of those things have been done over the course of the last 2 years, again, mostly in the last year since COVID slowed down and we were able to get construction workers there. So it doesn't make sense. We needed to get the work done in order to now say, okay, we've finished the property, we've rectified the things that led to the violation notices. Now, can you please agree to reduce by taking away the fine amount, not the cost or even the attorney's fees? I don't dispute that Attorney Gittinger would have spent roughly 10 hours and that it would be, $1,000, $1,500. I don't dispute that obviously there were filing fees of between $48 and $98 for each of the various violations, but the majority of the money is based on fines imposed, a statutory fine imposed by the magistrate for each of the various different violations. And all of those violations have been fixed and addressed. So I agree with Attorney Gittinger when he said the end game is there. The goal of the township was to get this property rehabilitated. That's a goal shared by my client. Unfortunately, it took longer than anticipated, but the property has been rehabilitated. It is, in my view, appropriate to say, okay, fine, forget the fines that were imposed, but the cost and the attorney's fees, that's reasonable. You guys should pay that. GFY should pay that, but not the fines. That's what I'm asking for. Take away the fines, leave the rest, and my client will pay that.
All right, is there any interest in reducing any of this, or should it just be left alone? And do I have a motion? One more call, do I have a motion? I don't have a motion, Attorney Gross, so I guess everything just stays as it is. They owe the money. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Then there she'll stay. All right, thank you. Moving on.
Thank you.
Anybody else, Melissa, in the chat room?
No,
All right, then we're gonna move on. Public hearing and voting on ordinances.
I have one hand raised.
All right, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Rob Filligan just raised his hand.
Send them through, please.
Okay, Rob, you're now unmuted.
Good evening, President Ginder and the rest of the board commissioners. Rob Pelagian, 415 Oakwood Drive, Whitehall, PA 18052. Thank you for taking courtesy of the floor. This is the third month I've had some questions. Hopefully they'll be brief and we can get through them quickly. After last meeting, the last Board of Commissioners meeting from November, at which time there was lengthy discussion about this issue. My question, and perhaps this is best answered by Attorney Gross, I'm not sure. Who's on the hook for all the funds that are being expended for investigations, particularly the investigation of the Treasurer's Office? And then ultimately, and perhaps this is a question more for the commissioners, where does the buck stop with this? Commissioner Sloniker indicated that I was looking for someone to blame. I'm not looking for someone to blame. I'd like to find out who is going to be accountable for all of this. Former President Harry S. Truman said in a speech, the buck stops here, talking about his desk as President of the United States. And I'd like to find out where the buck stops in Whitehall Township. Funds can disappear, and perhaps there's information that's lacking, investigations are done, and there isn't enough to be able to, quote, blame someone, unquote, but the buck's got to stop somewhere. It can't be that employees or elected officials are running wild and there's no system of checks and balances, at least not in my mind and not in my world. As a professional land surveyor, every time I sign and seal a plan, I'm putting my name, my reputation, and my professional responsibility online, and I'm accountable if something's wrong on that plan or there's a problem. And that time limit is basically forever, as I'm sure Attorney Gross would advise the board about that. But it seems as though no one is being held accountable for this. Those are my two questions tonight. Who's paying for all these investigations, particularly in light of the fact of the newspaper article that came out with some allegations that I'd rather not discuss here, but also the investigative work that went into the theft? Who's paying those treasurer fees or the attorney's fees for this? Are the taxpayers on the hook again for this? And then ultimately, would these individuals be found liable for those fees if it was due to their incompetence, ignorance, or some other form of mismanagement?
Attorney Gross, would you like to answer that?
I'm willing to answer the first part of it if you'd like me to, Mr. Ginder, which is to my sorry.
The public deserves some kind of an answer as
Sure.
best we can.
My understanding is that to the extent there were outside costs to investigate, to conduct the investigation in the tax office, they were paid by the township. I'm not going to offer an opinion here at this meeting regarding the township's potential claims against individuals. If that's something the board would like to discuss with me, it's something that should be discussed between me and the board as your attorney, not in response to a question at a meeting. But certainly to Mr. Plidgen's question, to the extent there were fees paid to conduct that investigation, my understanding, and I'm not trying to hedge here, I'm almost certain I'm correct. My understanding is that the township paid them.
That is my understanding also, the fees for the accountants and the attorneys and were paid by the township is my understanding also on this, Mr. Plidgen.
Well, thank you very much, President Ginder. And,
we have tried to go back to the treasurer's bond, so to speak, and Deputy Mayor Myers, if I'm misspoken here, please correct me. And our insurance company would not reimburse us for anything of it because we could not prove exactly how much money was to be talked about.
Well, plus you couldn't prove that it was stolen.
Yes. We know it's missing, but because of the way the books were kept and how sloppy everything the reporting was, the police just couldn't put a finger on anything. Does that answer your question, Mr. Plidgen?
to the extent, given the limited amount, yes, it does. And I appreciate the candor and the openness. It's just a shame, if I can add a personal caveat, I think it's a shame that this has been allowed to go on. And I do hope that the board takes steps to make sure that this never happens again. This is a dark stain on the township, in my opinion.
I couldn't agree with you more. And yes, we've taken steps. Yes, we've had forensic accountants in. And I believe when the new treasurer takes office, the things and the employees are ready to go to work, and they have been ready to go to work in that office, trying to get things as professional as possible in there.
The only thing I'd like to add, one thing is, and this is a comment to all the voters within Whitehall Township, is that we really need to pay attention more to who we elect to these offices. I mean, it's absolutely appalling to me that this type of conduct has been allowed to go on. So that's just an editorial on my end, but thank you very much. Have a good evening.
President Ginder, President Ginder.
Yes,
Last meeting, last month, I did make a motion to make sure that the treasurer's office get an audit every year. It was supposed to be picked up by legal and legislative, and that wasn't discussed in much detail at last month's meeting, this past month. So in an effort to provide more additional series of checks and balances, I request we vote on a motion tonight requiring that an independent financial audit of the process and accounts managed by the Office of Treasurer be performed annually. Presently, the audit's only done every time there's a change in the Office of Treasurer. And by this motion, an audit should be performed every year. As a result of the missing funds and the concerns, the people of Whitehall demand action. And we should not close out this year without voting on this motion.
yeah, well, you will be getting an audit, which would cover you through the end of the year. And then, of course, you wouldn't get a second audit until next year is through. And I fully understand where you want to head with this.
Yes. But we audit the administration side every year.
So
Why would we not audit the revenue side?
I understand that. I understand that fully. But there's also there's other changes coming through to what we're requesting too.
We don't have to wait until 4 years for that. I'm asking for a motion tonight if there's an objection to.
I'm not saying your motion's wrong, Jeff, and I'm not saying not to vote on it tonight. What I'm saying is there's possibly some other things coming too in the way of things change in the way we want some things done in there. I don't know if you wish to lump it all together or not.
President,
we do have into next year, because you will be getting an audit for the past 4 years at the end of this year. So the new treasurer coming in, her first year audit wouldn't be due till the end of next year at that point if we wish to do that. And I'm not saying it's wrong, Jeff. What I'm saying is let's think and make sure that this is exactly what we want to do.
My motion is to vote tonight, and if future boards or decisions, ordinances, or voter referendums decide differently, then that should
At
proceed.
that point, could I ask that we get this out of courtesy of the floor? And at the end, under motions and stuff, that you bring the motion up at that time, that the motion isn't now under courtesy of the floor. Is that fair to ask that?
Fair, thank you, sir.
Okay, so you will be bringing your motion at the end under the motions. Okay, Jeff?
Okay, thank you.
I want to get out of courtesy of the floor before we go through that stuff. Anybody else for courtesy of the floor? Mosa?
President Ginder, this is Commissioner Marks. I'd like to make a comment in reference to Mr. Pelagian's questions.
Go ahead.
I want to let Mr. Pelagian and the citizens of Whitehall Township know that the investigation into the treasurer's office and the current investigation that's taking place and the litigation that's taking place against the mayor are all on our taxpayers. The defense of the mayor is covered by our taxpayers, and any investigation costs, any postage, the list goes on and on. Any costs that were incurred by both investigations are on the backs of our taxpayers. And I just wanted to make that clear, and I want to be transparent to our taxpayers to let them know that the costs associated with this, the defense of the mayor, is being covered by the taxpayers. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Commissioner Marks. I appreciate, excuse me, Phil, it's Rob Pelagian again. And I appreciate that, Commissioner Marks. I did not want to open that door, but I'm glad that you did. And I appreciate that because that's something that we need to know. We as taxpayers need to know. I know the commissioners will vote on resolutions for expenditures over $25,000. And somehow I have a feeling that these expenditures are topping that for sure.
Way over.
So thank you very much, gentlemen.
That doesn't even start the number.
I figured as much, but
the treasurer's office alone is over $30,000 just from the forensic accountant. We spend at least that much, and I think it was even a little more than that. Anyway, any other comments?
No, not this time.
Okay, moving on. Public hearing and voting on ordinances. Bill number 20, 2018 is the second hearing. An ordinance amending the Whitehall Township Codified Ordinances, Chapter 27 zoning by amending the general regulations to permit adaptive reuse for affordable housing as a permitted use in the C1 and C28 zoning districts. Do I have a motion?
I'll move, Fisher.
Do I have a second? Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
D.
Who was it that seconded?
D.
The comments from the board? Any comments from the board? Comments from the public?
There are no comments from the public.
There being none, Mr. Secretary, please poll the board.
Commissioner Fisher,
Aye.
Commissioner D,
Aye.
Commissioner Attia,
Yes.
Commissioner Sloniker, aye. Commissioner Warren,
Aye.
Commissioner Marks,
Yes.
President Ginder.
Yes.
Bill passes 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Moving on, bill number 32, 2021. An ordinance of the Township of Whitehall in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania fixing the real estate tax rate for the year 2022. Do I have a motion?
Make that motion, Warren.
Do I have a second?
I'll second Marks.
Comments from the board? Any comments from the board?
Just for clarification, this keeps the tax rate flat.
Yes, there is no increase in the real estate tax this year. Any other comments from the board? Comments from the public?
There are no comments from the public.
There being none, Mr. Secretary, please poll the board.
Commissioner Warren,
Aye.
Commissioner Marks,
Yes.
Commissioner Sloniker, aye. Commissioner Fisher,
Aye.
Commissioner Attia,
Yes.
Commissioner D,
Aye.
President Ginder.
Yes.
Bill passes 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Bill number 33, 2021. An ordinance of the Township of Whitehall in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania establishing a fee schedule for the collection of municipal solid waste by the Township of Whitehall. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Motion, Marks.
Sloniker was first.
Okay.
Marks is second.
Comments from the board? Any comments from the board? Any comments from the public?
There are no comments from the public.
Phil,
Yes, Jack.
I just wanted one thing to bring one thing to your attention. The garbage fee for people with one container, one garbage cart is going to stay the same. However, there is an increase for those who have 2 containers. And that was based upon the increase in the disposal amount of municipal solid waste as we got it figured from Waste Management. So I think it's like went up $25 or $30 if you have 2 carts rather than just one.
Okay. And Jack, I know you worked awfully hard on that to be able to hold the garbage fee steady for a year. I mean, that's huge. And I know you did a lot of work on that. Thank you. Any other comments from the public? There being none, Mr. Secretary, please poll the board.
Commissioner Sloniker, aye. Commissioner Marks,
Yes.
Commissioner D,
Aye.
Commissioner Attia,
Yes.
Commissioner Fisher,
Aye.
Commissioner Warren,
Aye.
President Ginder.
Yes.
Bill passes 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Now, in case people see me fanning and waving here, no, I'm not having hot flashes or anything. I'm trying to keep my computer cool so it doesn't shut down. Bill number 34, 2021, an ordinance of the Township of Whitehall in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania adopting the 2022 annual budget and appropriating specific sums estimated to be required for the specific purposes of the township government, hereinafter set forth during the 2022 fiscal year. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion, Marks.
Do I have a second?
I'll second Fisher.
Comments from the board? Any comments from the board? Comments from the public?
There are no comments from the public.
There being none, Mr. Secretary, please poll the board.
Commissioner Marks,
Yes.
Commissioner Fisher,
Aye.
Commissioner Warren. Aye. Commissioner D,
Aye.
Commissioner Sloniker, aye. Commissioner Atia,
Yes.
President Ginder.
Yes.
Bill passes 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Bill number 35, 2021, an ordinance amending Chapter 16, Park and Recreation, Article 2, Animals Prohibited, to provide for service animals as required by the Americans with Disabilities Act. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a
I'll
motion.
Fisher.
I'll second D.
I'm sorry, who was the first?
Fisher.
You got the first and second, Tom.
Yes.
Comments from the board? Comments from the public?
There are no comments from the public.
There being none, Mr. Secretary, please poll the board.
Commissioner Fisher,
Aye.
Commissioner D,
Aye.
Commissioner Atia,
Yes.
Commissioner Sloniker, nay. Commissioner Warren. Aye. Commissioner Marks,
Yes.
President Ginder.
Yes.
Bill passes 6 ayes, 1 nay.
Bill number 36, 2021, an ordinance amending the township, amending the Whitehall Township Codified Ordinances, Chapter 21, Streets and Sidewalks, Chapter 21-1 through Chapter 21-13, and adding Article 7. Do I have a motion? Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion, Marks.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it, Phil. Atia.
Comments from the board? Comments from the public?
There are no comments from the public.
There being none, Mr. Secretary, please poll the board.
Commissioner Marks,
Yes.
Commissioner Atia,
Yes.
Commissioner D,
Aye.
Commissioner Sloniker, aye. Commissioner Fisher,
Aye.
Commissioner Warren. Aye. President Ginder.
Yes.
Bill passes 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Public hearing and voting on resolutions. Resolution number 3180, a resolution adopting the Township of Whitehall Capital Improvement Program years 2022 through 2026, specifically for the 2022 fiscal year. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion, D.
Do I have a second?
I'll second Sloniker.
Comments from the board? Comments from the board? Comments from the public?
There are no comments from the public.
There being none, Mr. Secretary, please poll the board.
Commissioner D,
Aye.
Commissioner Sloniker, aye. Commissioner Marks,
Yes.
Commissioner Warren. Aye. Commissioner Fisher,
Aye.
Commissioner Atia,
Yes.
President Ginder.
Yes.
Resolution passes 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Resolution number 3181, a resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Township of Whitehall, reaffirming and reenacting the realty transfer tax, the earned income tax, the per capita tax, the local services tax, and the business privilege tax. Do I have a motion?
I'll
make
move
that.
Sloniker.
Do I have a second?
I'll second Marks.
Comments from the board? Comments from the public?
There are no comments from the public.
There being none, Mr. Secretary, please poll the board.
Commissioner Sloniker, aye. Commissioner Marks,
Yes.
Commissioner Warren.
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher,
Aye.
Commissioner Attia,
Yes.
Commissioner D,
Aye.
President Ginder.
Yes.
Resolution passes 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Resolution number 3182, a resolution authorizing the mayor of Whitehall Township to enter into an intermunicipal mutual and police cooperation agreement with South Whitehall Township. Do I have a motion?
I'll move Fisher.
Do I have a second?
I'll second D.
Comments from the board? Comments from the public?
There are no comments from the public.
There being none, Mr. Secretary, please poll the board.
Commissioner Fisher,
Aye.
Commissioner D,
Aye.
Commissioner Attia,
Yes.
Commissioner Warren.
Aye.
Commissioner Sloniker, aye. Commissioner Marks,
Yes.
President Ginder.
Yes.
Resolution passes 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Resolution number 3183, a resolution conditionally approving the minor subdivision land development plan of 2016 Center Street, located at 2016 Center Street, Whitehall, index number 1989-21. Do I have a motion? Do I have a motion?
I'll move Fisher.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it, Phil.
Randy?
Is that,
Attia.
okay,
Comments from the board? Any comments from the board?
It's Commissioner Warren, I believe we only have one rec fee for these two lots being built. I request that we take action in a subsequent meeting to clarify the ordinance that was passed in 2005. That's all I have. Thank you.
When do you wish to take that action?
Well, we have, our current solicitor has deemed, he's read the ordinance from 2005, and it doesn't provide any kind of, it clearly says that a vacant lot divided into one or more lot does not get a waiver on the rec fee. So going forward, I think we have to reaffirm what that resolution says so we could impose it or change it.
Now, maybe I'm wrong and mixed up, but I thought if it had one existing house on it and the lot was created, a separate lot was created as two lots, then the existing house, the rec fee was waived. But this is two vacant lots, or this is one vacant lot being divided into two. There is no structure here to begin with. So I would take it as there would be two rec fees there.
As 2005 ordinance, it reads that way. It does clarify occupied residential dwelling does allow for a waiver, which I would agree with.
But we don't have a dwelling on this. There is no existing dwelling.
Correct.
So, Attorney Gross, how should we handle this?
So this is the issue that came up at L&L. Sorry, I guess that was last week, and I know we discussed it in the past. And I believe Lee is on, but I agree with the interpretation of our ordinance that you and Mr. Warren presented. My understanding is that the prior solicitor had given a different opinion after being challenged on this by a developer, and that since that opinion was given, the township's policy in this case was only to impose one rec fee. So, you know, my suggestion and what I understood, and actually I have it ready for the January meeting, was a resolution that clarifies the meaning of the existing ordinance and indicates that moving forward, in this instance, there would be two fees. until such time as the rec plan, this may be something that we consider when we look at the rec plan in general, but that in the interim, we would make this clear again. So did that answer your question?
So that would revert to this development now coming up because of pulling permits and everything?
It would not. I mean, this one, in my opinion, was started under the interpretation and with certainly township staff understanding that there would be only one rec fee based on the prior solicitor's opinion.
All right, then I will follow that for this time yet.
But I actually do have the resolution that we discussed last week prepared, and we'll be circulating it so that you can consider it in January.
Then I will accept the one rec fee at this, but this should be the last one then, correct?
Unless there are others already pending where that happened, and I'm not aware of any. Lee would have to answer. Lee Rackus would have to answer that.
Okay.
We have a couple of sketch plans, but we don't have any, and the sketch plans involve much more than 1 to 2 lots.
Right.
And I apologize because I was unanticipated. I did not anticipate being out of the office. I don't have any of my paperwork, so I don't even know what the resolution says at this point. I believe the developer did agree to pay 2 fees though. And Lou Rock is on from Lehigh Engineering. He can verify that.
Then I apologize, Lee. I'm sorry.
It says $2,000 per lot.
Okay, then this is one where it is 1 per lot. I apologize.
No, that says it, point number 3 in the resolution. I found
For
it.
some reason, I don't have that resolution in my packet, so
Yeah,
thanks, Frank.
verbatim, it says developer shall pay recreation fees in lieu of land dedication. Current fees are $2,000 per lot and shall be paid prior to final plan recording. That's it.
Then I'll rely on Frank and Lee for that. And again,
Yeah, you're exactly right, Frank. I'm looking at it now.
There you go.
So it would be a fee on each lot.
my mistake. I apologize.
All right. We just want to try and straighten this out now.
So it's already taken care of in this one.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other comments on this resolution? Any comments from the public?
There are no comments from the public.
There being none, Mr. Secretary, please poll the board.
Commissioner Fisher,
Aye.
Commissioner Attia,
Yes.
Commissioner D,
Aye.
Commissioner Warren,
Aye.
Commissioner Marks,
Yes.
Commissioner Sloniker, aye. President Ginder,
Yes,
resolution passes 7 ayes, 0 nays.
resolution number 3184, a resolution of the Township of Whitehall, Lehigh County, requesting a grant from the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation's Multimodal Transportation Fund, MTF, program for the MacArthur Road, Everhart Road Mobility and Pedestrian Accessibility Project. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion. Warren?
I'll second D.
Comments from the board?
Yeah, I just want to reiterate, this is a project that's in the pipeline for a long time. It's been in design phase. A significant amount of traffic impacts fees is proposed in this and a significant amount of private developer money to improve safety and accessibility. And this grant, should we be awarded, would help offset some of those expenditures. So I respectfully ask for approval of this.
Any other comments from the board? Any comments from the public?
There are no comments from the public.
There being none, Mr. Secretary, please poll the board.
Commissioner Warren,
Aye.
Commissioner D,
Aye.
Commissioner Attia,
Yes.
Commissioner Marks,
Yes.
Commissioner Fisher,
Aye.
Commissioner Sloniker, aye. And President Ginder.
Yes.
Resolution passes 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Under other, First motion to approve the temporary transfer of $1 million from the large fund to the capital reserve fund for the sole purpose of bridging the time period until the receipt of RCAP, that would be RACP funding. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion, Marks.
Do I have a second?
Second it, Warren.
Comments from the board? Any comments from the board? Comments from the public?
There are no comments from the public.
There being none, Mr. Secretary, please poll the board.
Commissioner Marks,
Yes.
Commissioner Warren.
Aye.
Commissioner Sloniker, aye. Commissioner D,
Aye.
Commissioner Atia,
Yes.
Commissioner Fisher,
Aye.
President Ginder.
Yes,
Motion passes 7 ayes, 0 nays.
yeah, Commissioner Warren, I believe you have a motion you wish to make at this point.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion requiring that an independent financial audit of the processes and the accounts managed by the Office of Treasurer be performed annually. Presently, an audit is done only when there is a change in the Office of Treasurer. By this resolution, an audit should be performed every year.
Now, do we wish to name who's going to pay for this? Should this be paid out of the township or out of the treasurer's office funds? That's number one. And number two, who will specify who chooses the auditor? Do those need to be included, Attorney Gross, or can that be decided later?
They could be included or it could be decided later. Historically, and I don't want to make a mistake here as well, but my understanding is historically the township selects the auditor and the township pays for it, but I believe Jack Myers could probably confirm that. I think that'd be helpful for you to know before you say anything different.
Yeah, Jack, would you like to comment on that?
Yeah, Attorney Gross is correct.
So the township will appoint the auditor and the township will pay for this audit.
That's generally what occurs, yes.
Okay, just so that everybody's square going into this, who's calling for it, who makes the decisions. Any other comments on this? No, wait, you made a motion, Jeff, and are you happy with your motion at this point?
Yes.
Do I have a first on that motion?
No, that he did make the motion, so he is the first, as far as I think.
Yes, you're right. I just have so much going on here trying to keep this computer from overheating. All right, so that'll be Jeff. Do we have a second on Commissioner Warren's motion?
I'll second.
Sloniker,
Okay, comments from the board?
This is Commissioner Fisher. Is there any other information that we should know about this? Because some of these issues we would discuss in front of L&L, and I just want to make sure we're not like rushing the process and that like all information we have and need is in front of us before we vote on this.
I just see it as an audit at the end of the year on that department. Simple as that. There's nothing to me that has to be discussed. It's just that now every year you get this finalization of what transpired with the funds in the treasurer's office. That's how I'm looking at it, unless I'm perceiving incorrectly, but.
Yeah, it's also a good thing. Different people come in, they might change things. It's always good to have a second set of eyes to look at the process. Are we doing everything the right way? Is there something we can do better? It's like I said, we audit the administration accounts every year. I don't see why we wouldn't audit the revenue accounts.
So historically, wasn't this already done every year, like until recently, or when did this, if that was the case, when did it go to being like every few years with the new treasurer?
The treasurer's office was audited every time there was a change of treasurer.
Was it ever done annually at any point?
To my knowledge, no. Tom, you were treasurer for many years and you go back. What do you know about it?
I just had the final audit at the end of the 4 years. And it's just, it makes everybody better. And in this situation, things might have been caught sooner. Recommendations might have been made sooner. And again, we're looking at the past thing here. Now, if we're going to have changes on the position, then it's something that you would probably want anyway later on. I'm sorry, I come back from my time as the controller where that's what we did, audits. So just to make sure that everybody knows what's going on both ways, and things run smoother that way.
I agree. Any other comments from the board?
Yeah, I just have one for Jack Gross. Jack, this is Joe. According to First Class Township Code and according to our charter, though, because it is a separate office and it's going to continue to be a separate office until we're possibly successful with a referendum changing the nature of that office, can we actually do this legally?
Assuming you're selecting the auditor as a township and paying for it, you can do it unless, I suppose there could be a dispute that I would have to look into if you had a tax collector or treasurer refuse to allow their books to be audited. I wouldn't expect that to happen, and I don't know the answer if we had someone who said I won't permit it.
Commissioner Marks, may I speak? We require monthly reports. Why would we not require the Board of Commissioners require an audit?
Because it doesn't state that on our charter. The monthly reports are required by the charter, and the deposits being made in a timely manner are required, but nothing else is required of the treasurer.
Do you mind if I interrupt here? Just so you know that the school district and the county did an annual audit on the treasurer. This is just another one in there. That's all.
So what you're saying is currently the school district and the county does an annual audit on our treasurer's office?
That's how it was. I mean, and again, there's specific parts that they would, I mean, every year I would dread the terrible audit with the per capita with the school district, because, you know, you might be off 2 things and there's no way of finding 2 out of the thousands of things that we do.
Yeah, I'm not
just
opposed to this. I'm just stating that according to First Class Township Code and because of the charter and the way the charter is written, do we really have the right to ask for this audit? And I guess Jack answered that question. If the treasurer is uncooperative, then I guess there's other avenues that we have to take in order to have this taken or done.
I mean, I would like the opportunity, if that happened, to research it. I at this point would suggest, if the motion carries, that the request to audit be made and see if there's an objection to it, and then I could look into it. There's nothing that prevents you from proposing to audit those accounts. And if the treasurer objects, as I said, at that point, I'd want the opportunity to research whether that objection is appropriate. I don't know the answer to that tonight, but I would hope that wouldn't happen.
Any other comments from the board? Any comments from the public?
There are no comments from the public.
There being none, Mr. Secretary, please poll the board.
Commissioner Warren?
Aye.
Commissioner Sloniker, aye. Commissioner D?
Aye.
Commissioner Atia?
Yes.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Marks?
Yes.
And President Ginder.
Yes.
Motion passes 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Okay, reports of public officials. This being possibly my last meeting as the president of this board, if I may, I would choose to go first this evening. Frank Clark, our township engineer. Frank, I know at the workshop you talked about Lehigh Avenue, and, we thank you very much for all your efforts you put in down there to get that started. You were running against the wall, so to speak, from day one. Do you have anything you wish to add to that?
Certainly. Today, we had weather for paving. We installed the binder course on Lehigh Avenue. Tomorrow, if the sun's shining at the right temperature, tomorrow afternoon, we'll put the wearing course on the South Lehigh Avenue portion, and the small crossing we have, the storm crossing at the base of Main Street. We had hoped to put the wearing course on the intersection at Columbia and Main, but we're running out of weather and time. So I'm very happy that we're going to get the wearing course on South Lehigh. The only thing that's left to do out there is on the embankment below the wall, there's still some area that's weak. So we're going to provide what they call an armor on that. It's basically a mesh that we're fastening to the wall on the upper end, and it's pinned into the ground throughout the area. It's probably about, around maybe, trying to think, a couple hundred square feet or so. And what we're basically doing is going to install shotcrete, which is a concrete mix that's brought out through a compressed air hose. And they shoot that through the grid onto the ground. And that way, anything else, any kind of rainfall impact or sleet that could wind up dislodging the soil in that area, it will not reach the soil. It'll actually bounce off of the shotcrete, which is basically a concrete shell, and then that'll dissipate further down the bank. So that'll be hopefully later this week. The schedule kind of got a little bit compressed because of the good weather. So the guide rail's up, wearing course tomorrow, and then shotcrete hopefully the rest of, end of this week, and then we'll be able to open it.
Thanks, Frank.
Yep.
Next, I wish to correct a comment they made about the treasurer's office at the November public meeting. I said the tax office is a mess for the last year and a half. I meant the management of the tax office and not the work of the employees in the tax office. The employees have been very dedicated and have professionally worked through the many issues brought upon them by the poor management of the office. Secondly, this problem has gone on for more than a year and a half. Actually, it's closer to 3 years. And I wish to correct that November statement, not so much correct, but use a more clear English in defining it. Couple questions for the mayor. Mayor Harrico, have we formed a recreation comprehensive plan committee yet?
Working on it with LVPC, and hopefully in early January, we'll have this together.
Okay. How many commissioners are going to be on that committee?
I'll take as many as we can get.
Well, I think if we look at the last report that was put together in 2004, I believe we should have that many commissioners again. I believe there were two or three on.
I think there were two.
Two. I would at least like to see 2 commissioners back on that committee again, if not more.
Commissioner Warren, I'd like to serve on that committee if at all possible.
We'll get to that. Because I know everybody wants to serve on it. So, and it's hard. We went through that the last time. So we'll have to get through that because I'm sure everybody would raise their hand. Next is the committee for the Pride and Farm. Has a committee been formed for that yet?
No.
Okay, because when you read these grant applications we've been putting in, they talk about a committee formed for down there. We talked about this now for the last year or two, and I think that should be done. I'm not going to keep pounding on that. These are just things that I've been carrying on through the last 2 years. Have we looked at a grant to study the engineering and the cost to replace the 72-inch stormwater pipe south of 22?
We have not.
maybe that's something else we should look at because we know there's trouble down there. Lastly, is the treasurer on?
I see her.
I am.
Okay. As I do every month, I'm gonna mention we have no reports of the 3 deposit accounts as per the recommendation of the forensic auditor.
You will have them tomorrow. I had others.
Before
Excuse
the end
me?
of the year, or is this just something that we're going to have to wait till the auditors come through and?
No, you will not have to wait for the auditors, Mr. Ginder. You will have everything cleaned up before I leave this building.
Okay, because, you know, we've been waiting since January, and that's okay, just so that we have a commitment. All right, moving on. Lastly, my 2 years as president of the board are coming to an end. They have been a long 2 years. I cannot remember so many problems going on at one time in my 22 years as a commissioner. I'll go through a few of them. COVID and all the problems associated with it. The debacle with the money missing and the accounting for it by the treasurer. The law enforcement and district attorney and forensic accountant investigations into the treasurer's operations. The harassment charges and investigations against the mayor.
And he's gone.
Worthy is the employees and their staff having to be on the move while construction is in phases from area to area and building to building.
Bill, if I
It
can,
is because of the dedication and devotion to getting the job done of our staff and employees. Am I still on?
you were out temporarily, Phil. So,
Hello?
yeah, are you there?
Am I still on? Hello?
Yes, we
Phil.
can hear you now.
Am I still on talking, Melissa?
Yes, yes. I have you on your
All
phone.
right.
Your
Can
internet.
they hear me? Can
Yeah.
they hear me?
Yes.
It is because of the, I'm sorry, my computer cut out. I'm on my phone now. It is because of the dedication and devotion to getting the job done of our staff and employees that we have
Melissa.
managed to hello?
Melissa,
Yes, Joe?
can you tell him to go back? We missed part of his.
Is this Joe?
Yes, Bill, can
Oh,
you go
Christ.
back a little bit? They
Watch
missed,
your language, sir.
Say what, Melissa?
they missed part of your speech.
Okay, let me start from here. The departure of 3 department heads. Can you hear me now, Melissa?
Yes, we can all hear you.
The departure of 3 department heads. All this and more, meanwhile shutting the municipal building to the public with COVID and construction of new police and public safety building and remodel of existing municipal building. Also noteworthy is the employees and their staff having to be on the move while construction is in phases from area to area and building to building. I apologize for this. It is because of the dedication and devotion to getting the job done of our staff and employees that we have managed to overcome the above burdens and distractions, and it is not over yet. Department heads, please pass on a sincere thank you to all employees. Our volunteer fire department and fire police have performed above all expectations, especially with the shortage of personnel. The chief and officers of the department deserve a special thanks to keep things running smoothly. Our police department continues to perform exceptionally well above standards. Thanks to all officers and personnel of the department. I thank Frank Clark, our township engineer from Keystone Consulting Engineers, and all department heads for all their help during the year. Never a question goes unanswered. Special thanks to Deputy Mayor Jack Myers and Attorney Jack Gross. You have kept me sane through the period we have gone through, always there with good advice and help to deal with the constant problems and issues. Lastly, thank you to all the volunteers and members of Whitehall's boards and commissions, playgrounds, sports leagues, Ironton Rail Trail, historical organizations. These people are what make Whitehall a great place to live and call home. I hope I have not forgotten anybody. If I did, it is not intentional. My thanks to the Board of Commissioners, first for having the faith in me to elect me to President of the Board. Secondly, to work together, not always in full agreement, but always with the best for Whitehall in mind. Lastly, thank you to the residents of Whitehall for having the faith and trust in us to do the right and honorable things for Whitehall Township. I wish all a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and most of all, good health to all. And I thank you for listening to that. Let us move on to the other commissioner reports. Commissioner Marks.
Well, that's a tough cookie to crack. You pretty much said everything that I would have said. So happy holidays to everyone, and thank you for your leadership, Commissioner Ginder. It was an honor to serve under your presidency, and it was challenging times for Whitehall Township, but we made it through. It's not over yet, but hopefully in the near future, we'll put this all behind us and we can move forward and make Whitehall even a better place than it is already. That's all I have.
Commissioner Sloniger.
Okay, and again, you covered most of the things for all of us with your pages of explaining all the people that have helped us during the year and remembering the people who have served and have passed away. I mean, we just had the two that we mentioned for this meeting, and we usually come in contact with just few of the people, the department heads like Lee and Jack and whatnot. And it's always been, I felt, a great time to interact because you find out how much they're working and how much they care also. And I mean that for everybody that we come in contact with. Nobody is ever treated poorly or whatnot. You try to give us the best answers that you have at the time. And I hope that we just go into the new year with just good hopes and expectations for good things to occur from this point on. Thank you.
Commissioner Warren.
Thank you, President Ginder. I do want to extend my condolences to Scott Benio's family, Linda Lobb, and John Schreiner, and appreciate their service. And I'm sure we're going to miss them. Mr. Ginder, President Ginder, thank you for guiding us these last 2 years. You did a great job. You kept high standards, and I'm sure you touched every page and read every word of it. And so thank you for your detail. I also want to thank our staff and our volunteers and wish them and their families a happy holidays, and everybody in the public. It's been a tough 2 years with COVID, and I appreciate every ounce of energy our staff gives to make the Whitehall Township a better place. Lastly, I do want to thank all those that helped with grants over the years, from the front end pre-planning to writing the grants and to administering the finances and tracking. Most importantly, the 1.5 million Racp grant that we landed. It started a long time ago with Mayor Hosa and tracking the grant, to getting the itemization, to writing the grant, to winning it, and then the back end financials through the administration, which was a daunting task. So just thank you for everybody's effort. That's all I have.
Thanks, Commissioner Warren. Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, President Ginder. So I just have a few things tonight. I'll start with my usual bad, and then we'll go to my good. But the usual bad is, the reason that we're into our second Christmas still in this virtual situation. Again, I just really want to emphasize to everyone, please, please, please get the vaccine. Please, please, please get the booster. It's quite apparent in the news right now. I think Pennsylvania, I believe, has like the second highest rate of hospitalizations right now. It is still increasing. And there is all that word about the Omicron variant. And I kind of just want to show you this little chart today. So this here is South Africa. This is where the Omicron variant was first identified. this is the middle of November, around November 13th, 14th. They only had a few hundred cases a day, and now they've skyrocketed up to over 10,000 cases a day. This is an exponential growth curve. So in this globally connected community, we are going to be seeing this in the next few months. They are showing definitely some good information in terms of how the booster is protecting people and causing mild cases. There's still a lot that needs to be known. The first death for Omicron today was confirmed in the UK. So, I mean, although they were talking about this being mild, depending on the circumstances, it's COVID. So please, please, please get it. I have my third booster. My family does. I will still be getting together with them. I'm still going out doing indoor dining, but because I trust the vaccine. So please, please, please get it. That was the bad. The good. Okay. I do want to recognize the Environmental Advisory Committee. They are doing a bang up job right now, trying to get the group, trying to help better organize the group. Recognize the interim president, Deb Rosine. They are working. She's working very hard to help put together a new charter for the group. So I'm really looking forward to see what comes out of the environmental group in the next year. I also want to point out that the Environmental Advisory Committee is looking for volunteers who want to work, who need their Eagle Scouts or Gold Awards for the Girl Scouts. We did have a scout step up from Troop 12 in Allentown, who's going to be helping build bird boxes in the coming months. And we definitely have other projects, and we're definitely looking for them. Last thing I want to say, I do kind of just want to reflect on the last year, and this kind of dovetails with what everyone else has been said, with what the other commissioners have been saying. This has been a heck of a last 2 years. For my first public stint in public office, I feel like I've been on this board for like 8 to 10 years now, even though it's only been 2. We've had COVID, we've had issues in the treasurer's office, we've had a lot of issues. What the staff has done and what the administration's done, what the commissioners have done, what the residents have done. It's really tried and tested us and really taught us what we could do and what we're capable of doing. And I want to recognize the board. I want to recognize President Ginder. For a first-time commissioner, he's truly been a great mentor for what it means to be a commissioner and what it means to truly serve the township. So I just want to thank him, and I just want to thank the other officers for what you guys done. I want to thank the board. I know we have a new board being sworn in January, and new officers will take place. And I'm just always going to remember this board. We've really been through it, guys. We've really been through it. And so I just want to thank you guys. I want to thank everyone. I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and Happy New Year. And I'll see everyone in the new year. So I'll turn it back over to President Ginder.
Thank you, Attorney Fisher. Commissioner Attia.
Thank you, President Ginder. First thing I want to do is just thank you, President Ginder, for serving as this board's president and all 2 years.
You're gonna have to speak up, Commissioner Attia. Nobody can hear you right now. Yell.
How about now?
Very, very faint.
Not sure what's going on with my audio, guys. Any better?
Yes.
I'm going to turn my video off. Maybe that'll help. Just wanted to thank President Ginder for his 2 years on the board as president since I've come on. It's been interesting for me coming in as an educator. A lot of this was brand new. Thank President Ginder because he's been a great said. It's just been a lot of work for me, and President Ginder's been great. Anytime I've ever called him, and he's never made me feel like it was a dumb question. He's great advice. And just been an amazing. Thank him. Also wanted to thank Commissioner D. He's one of the good guys. still serve him is something that I'm lucky to serve. I've been continue to
We're having a
so just thank you.
Randy, you faded out. I can't hear you.
Just wanted to thank the employees of the township again. I guess I'm having some audio issues, so I'll cut out holidays.
Has Randy completed? Does anybody know?
And I think he left off with thanking Commissioner D for his service on this board, which I'd like to just reaffirm as well. And we're going to miss you, Mick, and we hope you come back.
Is Commissioner Attia done with his comments? I couldn't tell.
Yes, Phil, I'm done. I'm having some audio issues, so thank you.
All right. Thank you, Randy. Last is Commissioner D, which I too would like to thank you for your time on the board. Mick, you've done a good job, and just Whitehall, I'm sure might just see you back again at one point. Commissioner D, your comments, please.
Well, thank you, President Ginder, and it has been from the bottom of my heart, it's been my honor and pleasure to serve the residents of Whitehall. I'd like to thank President Ginder for serving as president for 2 years. Commissioner Vice President Marks, just great leadership, and brought me on and guided me and answered my questions, and I learned a lot from all the commissioners, and some were friends earlier, but I know I've made a lot more friends. So it's been my pleasure to serve, and I want to thank the Board of Commissioners for working with me. Everybody else, Attorney Gross and Frank Clark and Lee Racp, everybody's just been great. So the township's in great hands, and I will continue wherever I can volunteer and whatever I can do. Commissioner Marks opened the meeting, and I'd like to echo his sentiments with the passing of John Schreiner. John was a friend of mine. I know Commissioner Marks had worked with him a lot longer, but just broke my heart to hear his passing and everything he's done for the borough of Copley and for the Whitehall Copley Sewer Authority. And my condolences to his wife, Faye, and his family. John, you will be greatly missed, my friend. On a brighter note, Toys for Tots campaign is going on. Marty Hacker in the Remax building, 1080 Shot Avenue. They're collecting new toys. It's a great program. They do great work. So I just ask everybody out there, when you're doing your shopping, pick up 1 or 2 extra toys, unwrapped new toys, if they could be dropped off. There are collection boxes all over, but if you're in the area, you could drop them off inside the Remax building. Whitehall Copley Hunger Initiative. One last shout out to Sherry Nocturne and everything that she's done. Their next free community meal is Tuesday, the 21st at St. John's Evangelical Lutheran Church, which is 835 3rd Street in Whitehall from 4 to 6. Also at the Remax building, you could drop off your donations, food donations, canned goods. So let's all be kind and open-hearted this holiday season. Buy an extra toy, some extra food for those who need it. And I just want to thank all the employees of the Township of Whitehall for all their hard work all this year. And I just wish everybody the happiest of holidays and very happiest of New Year's. So again, it's been my pleasure to serve in this board, and I will continue serving the residents of Whitehall in any way I can. But thank you for your time, and happy holidays to everybody. Thank you, President Ginder.
Thank you, Commissioner D, for this evening and for your time and service on this board.
My pleasure.
Mayor's report.
Let me begin, since I'm still seeing him. Mick D will be missed. And I've no doubt that you'll be back here again sometime soon. Thank you so much for helping us to access Jeannie McNeil, who has been a big help to us. The first person to get to us when the $500,000 grant was announced was Jean, and she was out of the area. So we had a nice long conversation, and I want to thank you as her right-hand man for helping us get that $500,000. Add it to that million that we have. I think we did a pretty good job of getting the money we need to help us through this. So thanks to you. And I know we have, this is redundant, but Scott Shenyo's been here for a long time working for the township. He'll be missed. Linda Lobb has just, for many, many years, she has struggled, and she has done the best she could to keep a smile on her face. And I'm sure she has passed with a smile. She is going to be missed. John Schreiner has been around here for 27 years, helping to guide the Copley Whitehall Sewer Authority, and John is going to be missed. Great guy. It's a shock to me because I have talked to him frequently, and it surprised me. My best to John and his family. In terms of the grants we've been working on over the past few months, we've gotten hundreds of thousands of dollars to support projects that the board has supported throughout this year. And we are continuing to move forward. Jeff had mentioned this earlier, but I want to mention too, with this RACP grant funding, it's a program administered directly by the Office of the Budget. And it goes for Whitehall, as far as I know, back as far as 2015, when the state was looking for RACP itemization requests. Lisa Boscola was sending out information, and there was a response from Mayor Hosa and Jeff Warren, along with TICTA Executive Director Lieberman, that got our programs onto this funding source. You have to get authorized to submit for these projects, and they're usually big projects. Boscola's office really helped out early on. And again, Jeff had a big hand in making sure that Whitehall had these itemizations in the budget so that we could access them with any kind of grant request. Chad Helmer has made a huge difference for us. And as you know, he's been involved in virtually all, except maybe 2 grants that we submitted this year. And without him, we wouldn't have gotten these grants. And I know Jeff went as far as to chase Governor Wolf around when he was in Allentown and stick a white paper in his hands to make sure that we were on his mind when this money was being doled out. But importantly, the work that's been done by Jack Myers and Deb Bowman, Lenore Brazier, Tim Chrisman, Kim LeBrake from Dewey, and Chad Helmer, along with Senator Boscola and Representatives McNeil and Mako, we wouldn't have been able to get this money. And it's sorely needed. It's going to help us through the next few years. And we will see a lot of benefit from these down the road. So I had some other thoughts here, but we're moving on here. I just want to thank all of our staff, the Board of Commissioners, and the entire community, and wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We're looking forward to the end of what I think has been a good year in most ways. We have problems, but we're getting through them. And that's about it for now.
Thank you, Mayor.
Except to note that it looks like the police department isn't going to get in their building until the beginning of January. And it looks like, based upon where we are right now, that we're not going to be able to be in the January meeting in our boardroom. So I think we're looking at February, depending upon when some of these supplies come in. It may even be as late as March until we get in to our board meeting room. That's about it for now, Phil.
With that last comment, I'd just like to ask Chief Marks, I see he's on. You can hold the rent check back for 1 month, so your rent won't be due until February.
No problem. I'll keep that in mind. Thanks, Mr.
Okay.
Ginder.
All right, no problem. Just letting you know. Treasurer's report.
I trust everyone has received and read the monthly report that was emailed to them. There again was some difficulty in producing this report because for the second month in a row, I did not receive a necessary monthly bank statement due to the fact that a particular account was only opened with 2 signatures instead of the required 4 by the Home Rule Charter, and the treasurer is not listed as a person to receive the statement. Hopefully this can change for the future. Other than that, that's all I have. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else have anything for the good of this township?
Oh, Phil, before we go, can I just make a note to Lee Racp? Lee, there's something I need to speak with you about tonight, if at all possible. If you can reach me, I don't know if I can give you a number over can you get to me at 484-239-1623? I just need 30 seconds with you.
Sure. Phil, I was wondering if I could say a few words about Linda before we close.
It looks like Phil's he's here.
Okay, go ahead, Lee. This is Tom.
Yeah, go ahead, Lee.
I'm going to try and hold it together because Linda just passed today. She would appreciate all the positive and nice comments that everybody made tonight. You know, today's Linda would appreciate it. But what I'm going to say is paying homage to feisty Linda that I met when she first came over my department. I want to do her justice. She approached me over 2 years ago when it became apparent that there was going to be an opening in my department. And she asked if I had a problem with her applying for it. I was hesitant because she had no work experience in that kind of work. She was a numbers person. However, I understood her urgency because she was being bullied mercilessly in her position at the tax office. She was desperate to get out of there, and she took a huge pay cut to come over to my department. But boy, am I glad she came over. I quickly came to rely on her as a right-hand person. She dotted my I's, she crossed my T's, she caught my mistakes and made me look like a better person than I am. Then about 2 years ago, around this time of the year, she called me at night one evening and gave me news that nobody would want to hear. She wasn't supposed to live 6 months past that date. She was one of the strongest people you'll ever know. She came into work when people would have never come into work, and she put her all in for Whitehall Township. She was a lifelong resident of Whitehall Township. She was one of the strongest people that I've ever met. She's a fantastic employee. And if anybody ever wanted to have an example of what you need to be a good worker, to be a loyal person, to be a dedicated worker, to be a fine individual, Linda was it. She'll be missed dearly. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee. Thank you for your comments. Phil, are you on?
Joe, I don't see him on the list here.
I just have unmuted your phone, Phil.
Phil, are you there? I guess.
Joe, I don't see him on the list.
Okay.
Hello, Melissa.
Yes,
Oh.
we can hear you now.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, I'm sorry for this communications breakdown. This was totally inspected today. Lee, nobody could have said that any better than you have, and I know that was probably one of the hardest things you ever had to say. But thank you. I think we all learned a lot about what you just told us. All right, any other comments for the good of the township this evening? I hear none. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion, Marks.
Do we have a second? Do I have a second?
I'll second it, Warren.
Okay, meeting adjourned. I thank everybody, and everybody have a good evening.
Have
Tom,
safe
can you hear
holidays,
me?
everyone.
Yes.
Tom, can
Good
you
night.
hear me?
Yes.
Tom? Hey,
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
This is hard, but my computer's down and I'm off a phone here. What
I
a
know.
mess. I can't believe all this had to happen. I'm going to sign papers tomorrow morning. You want to go along?
Wants to know if we should be canceling the meeting because she's.
When are you gonna go?
10 o'clock, I told Larissa.
I have a doctor's appointment. I'm sorry, I can't go then.
All right, because I got to go then because I got other things going all day. So then you'll have to make other arrangements with Melissa, Tom.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. You have a good night. Thanks, Tom.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
What up?
Yes.
It's Larissa.
Yes.
Do you have a time tomorrow that you could make it?
And again, it's going to be dependent upon the doctor.
Okay.
You've gone to doctors, be there an hour early and get in an hour